Hi, hello. I think I'm on live now. Hi, good morning again, or should I say good afternoon again? This is Hong Yao Wu. My name's me, Isaac, the interpreter. So, and I'm going to talk about a very why would you rather having a professional interpreter or translator instead of having a friend who knows both languages when you need someone to interpret for you or when you're engaging with someone who speaks a different language than you are. So now, first of all, as we know, when do we need an interpreter or a translator? Of course, is when you're dealing with your clients, your friends, or anyone that doesn't speak your language. In our case, English. And when this situation happens, and you are trying to resolve a problem or having a business uh, a negotiation or have everything to be our problem need to be solved, or you have to do any sort of transaction or any communication purpose. In this situation, you need an interpreter or some case translator to bridge these communication gaps between you and your potential counterpart who speaks a different language. So this situation is very, very common in a multicultural society such as Australia, Canada, or United States, or anywhere that has people who lives in this country that came from different backgrounds, or in some case, migrants from many different countries. So this is why we need interpreters to serve in the community. Now, today, what I would like to talk about is given that we are living in a multicultural and multilingual society, and why do we still need to have interpreters and translators instead of just getting a bilingual friends or family members? This is the main story that I'm talking about. Okay, so first of all, interpreters and translators, they are not just an ordinary person that walk down the street. These people are highly trained, and those they know the context, they know the knowledge that is required to perform in various interpreting and translating um, contexts. Okay, so I give you an example. First example is about the process of how things are being done. You may be the first time, maybe you're the first time going to the courts. Maybe you're going to see a specialist because one of your family who just got a lung disease, or he or she had some brain issues that need to go through a surgery. Maybe this is the first time, or any of your friends or family ever go through this kind of highly specific and very complicated situation. A lot of bilingual people, they may be fine. They're definitely fine with everyday languages. Hello, how are you? Ordering food, going out, going about, asking for directions. These are okay. However, a lot of the context that community interpreters and translators go through that is quite specific and quite difficult to deal with, such as in a medical situation where you might have to go through different departments. You might have to see different specialists. You might even have to go through a special wait list or special process or procedure before you can even see the doctor. And if you just get a random friend who speaks English in your or the language of your client, maybe he or she can speak perfect language. However, they do not know the process. They are just equally confused as you are and or your clients. Therefore, without this experience and training about how things are working in various government departments, such as hospitals, courts, police station, you are basically bringing someone who is just equally confused as you are. That is much less efficient if you have an interpreter, a certified professional interpreters engaged by either the agency or engaged by your clients, or you can engage yourself. These people, they are well trained. They were told about all the processes that they have to go through, or they are at least trained in their orientation about all the different process, different steps, different procedures that you have to go through. So these people will make your life much easier. You might not notice it. However, sometimes a small things such as where to go. For example, if an interpreter would tell that, oh, next you have to go to the counter, which counter? Usually we can assume that it's a front counter, but it might not be the case for everyone. And as interpreters, we do have interpreters office. We do have interpreters special counter that engages interpreters in court, and the police are well trained when dealing with interpreters. Police or other professionals, they even know when to pause, when to continue when they are engaging in an interview, when they are dealing with an interpreter. However, if your friends or your family who are totally untrained, they might have problem getting in the same pace as your professional or someone that you're talking to in a community setting. So these trainings are essentials. And secondly, they actually know the words in the context. Let me give you an example. Okay, when you go to a hospital, now due to, I don't know, maybe political correctness or due to whatever they want, a hospital refer you as a client. So in Chinese, or for example, if a Chinese person, a random Chinese person heard the word client, they will just say, oh, you are the 客户 or 客户, the client. So what client are you? So if I'm a Chinese person who speaks no English, and when I heard the word client, I immediately think about business. So what business am I doing here today? I'm actually feeling sick, or I'm actually reporting a crime to the police station. So why am I known as the client? Actually, these are the highly specific words that are being used by agencies. And very small example, loaded, L-O-A-D-E-D. The word loaded could be many different meanings. The gun is loaded. Okay, the gun is loaded with bullets. The truck is loaded with dirt, debris, stuff, whatever on it, And my brain is loaded. I'm loaded with all the knowledge. So the same one single word loaded, it might sound like a very simple word. However, it could have different meanings. And only interpreters and translators, these people are the ones who are well trained, or they have extensive experience about how different contexts and how different words may interrelate with each other when they are communicating, when they are helping out their clients to bridge communication gaps. Therefore, if you just bring a random friend who you might not even know well, who you might just met for a few times, you heard that this person who speaks that language, this person just went in from the middle of nowhere, has no whatsoever knowledge about the context and the procedure, and these will cause you hiccups throughout the communication. And also, beside the context, you have to understand that sometimes situations such as a court hearing, a police investigation, or a mental health assessment could be very, very stressful. Interpreters, on top of their lexicon or contextual knowledge, they are also trained with non-contextual, non-linguistic knowledge, such as how to handle stress, how to deal with situation where emotional or dangerous situation arises. They were well trained. They know what to expect. They know how to react. For example, most recently, one of my agency known as TIS National, they actually just conducted a new online training or questionnaire seminar where I have to go through all the readings about all the safety requirements or commonly used safety requirement in various clients. And I have to understand those things before I can actually extend my contract with this agency. So these compulsory trainings in terms of safety, security, communications, and even ethical issues. These things actually equipped a interpreter or translator to differentiate themselves with a random bilingual person. Okay, and also, um, besides that, they have the know-how. All right, they know what to do. They were told, they were taught what to expect, how to go by stuff, and how to do things. So this in turn will save you time because they will know what to do. They will know what to say. They will use much shorter spans of time to process all the language and knowledge. That will save you time. Your whole process become much more efficient. And also, various situations popped up. For example, there's an emergency. There is a if the client was late, if the wait list is quite a long time, and they might even know who to speak to a front desk. If I said, if for example myself, I go to a hospital front desk and tell the nurse there that I'm an interpreter, I'm booked until, for example, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and my client is here waiting to see the doctor. And when this situation happens, the nurse or the front desk staff, they will immediately, begin to do the best to put you in the front of the list, or in the, towards the beginning of the list, so that you could be seen by your doctor, by your physiotherapist as soon as possible. That actually gives you a more smooth and more, I would say, prioritized, um, experience when you go to the hospital than if you just having a friend who speaks English in your own language, or the other language in English, so that you don't have these so-called privileges. The front desk staff or the doctors will not consider your situation, because remember, when you're having someone who interprets for you, you need twice as much as the talk, because when you speak, the interpreter will interpret what you say to your client. Your client will speak the non-English language, and the interpreter has to interpret what this person said to you in English. So by doing this, it requires much longer time, and the untrained or unequipped, uninformed bystander who consider a bilingual, they do not understand this context, and this will cause prolonged issues where they might themselves will have to spend quite a while to get themselves accustomed to the situation, to know what's going on. So that actually is much less efficient than if you're having a professional interpreter. And besides knowledge, they have one more skill that I would say that even myself is not fully, qualified to, is the transferring of meaning. A lot of time, when you hear a word, a sentence, or even but in the more extreme case, an idiom, okay, you know what it means. You know what this person is trying to say. However, can you transfer this meaning in your head and usher the meaning out in the other language, almost in an instant, manner? For example, if I said, okay, you are not my cup of tea. Okay, you know what it means. So, do you know what is there a similar idiom in the other language? Even if there is, do you know without the proper training as an interpreter? So, by having an interpreter or a translator, they know all these language, lexical, cultural matters right in their head. So this could be a much faster and smoother process than just having a random bilingual friend to go with you to the appointments. And now I would like to go to my third point. And I think this point is possibly the most important point of having a professionally trained interpreters and translator, is neutralities. Neutralities, this means that this person is trustworthy. He or she knows the code of ethic, which is mandated by NATI or relevant government or professional organization. They do not have a shared interest. They are neutral. There's nothing for them to gain. There's nothing for them to lose when they're interpreting for you. So these neutralities actually brings in trust, not only from you, but also from your client. You and your clients both know that this person, a third party, independent, NATI certified interpreter, has nothing to do with your interests. This person come from their home, they come to their work, they see you as the client, they come to work, they don't get money from you, they don't get money from your client, they're just getting paid by the agency. These people are neutral. You can pretty much 100% be sure that this person has no interest, no intention of hiding, distorting, or talking on the side of your client or whatever you say. So these neutralities actually facilitate trust. So by having trust, then you can actually go on with the core of your matter much faster. You don't have to spend all the time build up the rapport, to the understanding, or try to gain trust from each other. You know you have a trustworthy third party here, and by having this interpreter, you can be rest assured that whatever you say could be fully unfiltered or fully transferred to your client to the best of the interpreter's ability. Of course, as an interpreter, they will never be ashamed of asking questions. If you said something that the interpreter did not understand, they will always come back to you and ask for, oh, excuse me, what do you mean by this? And by clarifying, and before that happened, they will actually tell your client, say that, excuse me, your client here is, or your counterpart here is saying something that I might need a little bit more clarification. They will always do that so that it actually facilitates your communication. So by having these well-trained interpreters, it actually reduces the stress, reduces the weariness between the parties, because these people are well-trained and they are trustworthy, they are neutral. They have nothing to do with the interest or money of either party. So they are, a trustworthy third party where you don't have to spend all the time and stress and effort to make sure that this person is neutral and they're not siding with anyone. Okay? And an extreme case of this, the opposite scenario where things does go wrong, is when you are interpreting with a family member. Let me tell you this one case where this is a little bit extreme. Okay, so this lady, this is a very elderly lady. Okay, I think she was in the hospital with a gynecologist. Okay, the lady's doctor, and then the doctor was saying that, okay, your mom, which is like 65, 64 years old, and then we are considering doing this treatment to her, but by doing this treatment, maybe your mother will not, be able to, continue her sex life anymore. So your mom and the lady and her husband, they could not have any more intercourse in the future. Okay, this is a big deal. As any adult, reasonable adult person, this is a big deal. So at the time, the daughter was acting as an interpreter for the mom. Okay, daughter, not just a friend, a daughter who speaks perfectly in that language and in English. She basically, without consulting the mother, saying that, okay, you can go ahead. She's almost 70. It should be fine. It should be fine. However, luckily, due to these trainings, this reoccurring social and cultural and linguistic training to the doctors and various medical staffs in Australia, this doctor immediately feels that is something not right. He or she was thinking that this daughter is not, answering my question or making the decision based on what the mother really wants. So all he did was he engaged a telephone interpreter who speaks the language, and then he asked the exact same question, explained the exact same procedure through the interpreter to the old lady. And guess what? And at the end of this explanation, the doctor said, your daughter just told me that you are okay with this procedure. the gynecologist, saying that it's okay from now we do this, but you will not be able to enjoy your sex life anymore. This lady began to cry. Okay, this old lady began to cry and saying that I still have my husband and I still want to, continue with my sex life. And look, there you go. Without a neutral interpreter who does not make judgment, who does not put any emotion or does not know anything about both parties, without this neutral party as a professional interpreter, things may go wrong. Operations may not be fully understood by the client, or medical decision may be made without the prior consent or full understanding of your client or the patient. So this is the important aspect of the fact that you have to consider these neutralities. This person this interpreter who acts as a mouthpiece for both English and non-English speakers. So by having this, you can pretty much make sure that both parties are happy. They can fully understand each other. They fully understand the whole situation, and there's no or very minimal risk of distortion. And lastly, this is the fourth point I will make today, is accountabilities. Interpreters and translators, they are not only well trained, they're not only having a lot of experience. These people have to go through recertification every couple of years, and they have to go through a lot of training, and they have to go through a lot of internal monitoring by different agencies. And these people, they are certified. Okay, to have this certification remain, these interpreters and translator, they cannot make a lot of let alone deliberate, but too much negligence and mistakes. And also the chances of they risking their certification, risking their credential by making careless mistake is much lower, because they know that if they get enough complaint, if they're making big enough trouble, they might risk losing their credential. They may risk losing the certifications. So these certification system that is implemented in Australia actually ensures that only those who are willing and capable to maintain their professionalities, maintain their level of language skills, maintain the level of ethical understandings to remain in this industry. So the chance of these professional, well-trained, certified interpreters and translators making deliberate or negligence mistake, deliberate mistake and negligence is rather small. Okay, the number of interpreters or translators having their certification revoked is actually a very, very rare case. Okay, they are actually trained from day one to be responsible, to be careful, to be prudent, to be neutral, to be ethical. And they usually, we were told that only accept assignment that you are confident or you know that you're capable of doing. So there are so many other assignments, such as Supreme Court or county courts cases, where it involves a lot of cross-examination that I've never go to, because I understand my level of memory and my skills in handling stress and prolonged interpreting and whispering interpreting, it's not up to that skill. So I will automatically choose to ignore all these job requests. And my agency knows that I'm not well trained, I'm not experienced in these situations. They will not even offer the jobs to me. But if you only have a friend who thinks, maybe out of a good heart, that he or she can help you to bridge this communication gap, your friend might not understand the ethical involvement, especially in a court case or a police case, where your friend may just interpret one or two very peculiar terms that is differently than the actual meaning in the context. And legally speaking, it could be all lead to inadmissible evidence, or it can actually the whole process have to restart again because there's a procedural error. So to avoid this, always have a certified professional translator or interpreter that not only makes everyone feel safe or gains everyone's trust, but also someone who knows all the rules, knows all the procedures, and knows what to do and what not to do when interpreting and translating for the clients. So by doing so, it actually saves you a lot of time and avoid all the troubles of having everything redo again. All right. So once again, the knowledge in all this situation, in all the background context, the well-trained, the training and the knowledge of all the professional and certified translators and interpreters, and also the ethical understanding, the ethical involvement of all these interpreters and translators, and their prolonged and constant professional development by different agencies to these interpreters and translators who involved in this industry on a daily basis, all in all, ensures that your multilingual or bilingual communication process goes smoothly and efficiently and effectively. That this gaps in understanding could be, successfully bridged. Therefore, you should always reconsider having just a bilingual person to interpret for you. You should always, to the best of what you can, to engage a professional certified translator or interpreter whenever you are dealing with a multilingual or multicultural issues and matter. And at the end of the day, even if you don't want to do that, if you're dealing with government bodies, you're dealing with administrative issues. We understand nowadays in 21st centuries that everyone has to go through a set of procedure. If there is a procedural error somewhere in the process, the whole thing has to be knocked off and knocked down and restart again. So to avoid this procedural error that prolongs the whole process of solving problem, I think most, or I would say all government bodies will require their clients or their stakeholder to engage a certified, recognized interpreters and translator whenever that they have any matter that is dealing with someone who does not speak English or that has a communication breakdown. Well, I mentioned that because you have the Auslan, the sign language interpreter as well. So whenever there is a communication breakdown or a possibility of communication gap, having a professional, certified, well-trained, well-experienced interpreter actually boosts your chance of success by a lot, by a huge gap. Okay, so I hope this video found you well, and in the future, whenever you need to have someone who that you need to communicate with in a different language, I will highly recommend all of you to always get an interpreter or a translator instead of just a random friend who claim to understand the other language. Okay, so I hope this video helped. Take care of yourself. Have a great week.